if everything you needed, all the healing, the clarity, the empowerment was already within you, just waiting to be unlocked? Welcome to Michelle's Healing Haven podcast. Here is a space where your intuition is going to take the lead. Your transformation, let it begin. Here, dissolve those fears into trust. And healing, well, it's going to become a way of life. Thank you for being here and joining me on this journey. Before we dive in, I want to let you know that additional resources and insights from today's episode are going to be available at my blog on michelleshealinghaven.com. Check it out before or after the podcast. I will always try to put additional resources that are helpful. They could be books, it could be meditations, or just some simple information and tidbits that are very helpful. You can also sign up for my newsletter there as well. Hello and welcome back to Michelle's Healing Haven. My name is Michelle and I'm excited for you to be here with me today. This is going to be a very exciting episode and we're going to be diving into the topic of spirit guides. Now, this episode is going to be structured a little different. It's one big expansive conversation that is going to be split into two parts, but all within just this episode. So the first half is going to be the beginner section or the introduction section, where we're going to talk about what spirit guides are, the different types you might have on your team, and how to start working with them in your everyday life. Then, if you feel called to stay with me, the second half is going to take us on an advanced realm where we talk about beings beyond your everyday spirit guides. There's a lot of content in this one, and I didn't want to split it into two different podcast episodes because it all really does flow together at the end of the day as one big picture of who's actually guiding us in spirit. So here's how it's going to work. There's going to be two oracle pulls. I am going to, after the first section, pull the first oracle to close out the beginner's part. And then I'm going to do another oracle at the very end to wrap up the advanced teachings. If you're new to this, or you just want to start simple with spirit guides, you can listen through the first half, take in what you need, stop there. But if you're ready to go deeper and explore the higher realms, stay with me through the second half. We are going to go way beyond the veil together. So wherever you are in your spiritual journey, there is something here for you. There's a reason why you found this. So let's do this. Take a breath, get grounded, pen and paper. You can always, again, check the blog. I have additional resources for this. And let's begin. All right, so now we're going to get this foundation. What are our spirit guides? Okay, and I think this is one of the topics where everyone has a slightly different definition or experience. So I'm going to bring my personal clarity to this, especially if you've ever wondered who is really guiding me. When I say spirit guide, I'm talking about an evolved soul, a being that's already ascended past this human lifetime, and they choose to work with us for our soul growth. They're not random energies that happen to pop in and out. They're beings who have a purpose in guiding you. Sometimes they protect, sometimes they teach, sometimes to help you align with your mission or your next step. Most of the time, your spirit guides are evolved souls who are completing part of their own soul mission through helping you complete yours. I don't know if anybody here has ever seen It's a Wonderful Life. Clarence gets his wings. It's the same sort of concept, but it's like they're continuing their evolution by supporting your evolution. Now, I do want to make an important distinction here. People often group everything under the term guides. I am going to separate one specific guide: your ancestors or loved ones who have passed, people that are in your family lineage, or the souls connected to your bloodline. They're definitely a part of your support system, but they are technically not the spirit guides that I'm talking about. We will talk about your ancestors in the more advanced section. Ancestors are more like your foundation. They are your roots. They protect you, they nurture you, and they carry wisdom from your family line. So when I talk about the spirit team, that will include your spirit guides, your ancestors, your angels, any ascended masters, and all the other beings that are dedicated to helping you in this lifetime. Your spirit team is multidimensional. It's not just made up of what we call spirit guides. It's an entire collective of energies that work together in harmony to guide, to protect, and support you. Some may never have even incarnated as humans, and some may come from completely different realms or vibrational planes. Now that we've clarified what a spirit guide is, how they differ from ancestors, let's start to look at the different type of guides that can show up on your team. Everyone's team looks a little different. Some people have just one of each type, and others have multiples that specialize in different areas. Let's go through a few of them together. The first one I'd like to talk about is what I call the practical teacher. This guide oversees the lessons and pathways connected to your day-to-day material life. They help you with things like your career, your finances, your health, your relationships, both romantic and platonic. They're very hands-on and they're realistic. This is the guide that might nudge you to update your resume, maybe even apply for a new job, take a new course, or even start a side business that you've been thinking about. They help you accomplish tangible goals, but they also teach you how to stay grounded while you do it. So if you ever get a strong feeling to take action in a very practical way, that is often your practical teacher coming through. Next, we have the guardian. This guide's role is protection, both physical and spiritual. They can sometimes be referred to as a guardian angel, but they are not necessarily angelic in nature. Their vibration might feel heavier or more solid because they act like an energetic shield between you and harm. Guardians are usually not very vocal. They don't communicate in words or long intuitive conversations. Their job is more about presence. You might not even realize they're there, but they make themselves known in subtle ways. Maybe you narrowly avoid an accident, get a strong gut feeling not to go somewhere, or you feel an instant chill that stops you from making a choice you'd regret. That is your guardian. Your guardian will step in through your intuition, especially in your red flag moments. So, while you might not talk to this guide very much, they are one of the most loyal and constant energies you'll ever have in your field. Next, we have a guide that not everybody has all the time and not everybody needs, but it is the joy guide. This one's a little more rare, but when they show up, their presence can completely shift your energy. A joy guide's purpose is to help you rediscover happiness, especially if finding joy has been difficult for you in this specific lifetime. They're not just here to make life fun. Their role runs deeper than that. It's a very soul deep connection here. They're here to help heal the part of your soul that forgot what it feels like to be light, playful, or free. If you've been through a lot, trauma, grief, burnout, long seasons of responsibility, your joy guide helps you remember the little moments that make life worth living. They will draw your attention to the small things, the way that sunlight filters through the trees, your cat doing something silly, a song that suddenly makes you smile for no reason. Those tiny sparks of joy are their way of speaking to you. They remind you that healing isn't always heavy work. Sometimes your healing is found in laughter, in softness, in the ability to notice beauty again. So, if you feel like joy has been missing from your world, that's a sign your joy guide might be trying to step forward, helping you relearn how to feel alive. The next type of guide is going to be the emotional guide or the counselor. This guide plays a very specialized role. They often show up during the times in our life when we really spend time doing deep inner healing work, especially around healing the past or past lives. Now, I do want to state that there are guides that'll be with us all the time. The joy guide and the emotional guide counselor, they might not necessarily be in our energy field the whole time. They might come into parts of our lives where we need them. Okay. So the emotional guide will help you understand yourself on a deeper subconscious or even soul level. They assist in helping you process emotions that might not only be from this lifetime, but from previous ones too. If you ever felt like you were carrying emotional patterns that don't make logical sense, like an unexplainable sadness, fear of abandonment, burst of anger that feel older than you, the guide is often working with you behind the scenes to bring those emotions to light. So it can also be an unexplainable fear of fire, fear of water, a fear that did not come from this lifetime. They will help you process through that. They are the ones gently nudging you to sit with your feelings, to find compassion for yourself, and to understand where those emotions are truly coming from. And even that acknowledgement in the mind that, hey, this is from the past, allows some weight to be lifted. Now, this is the guide who also helps you connect with people. So you have allies, mentors, even challenging relationships can show up out of this that serve as mirrors for the emotional healing. Those chance meetings or soul connections that end up teaching you something profound about love, trust, or boundaries are usually guided by this specific spirit guide. So their focus is both internal and external, helping you navigate your emotional landscape while aligning you with the right people and experiences to grow through it. Now, for even more growth comes the next guide, which is your spiritual teacher. The spiritual teacher is the guide who focuses on your spiritual path, your deeper purpose, sense of self, and the lessons that you came here to learn. This guide tends to come forward when you reach a major crossroads in your life. Moments when you're being called to step into a new version of yourself, or when your beliefs shift, or your identity shifts, or your purpose is being completely redefined. Their role is to inspire this transformation, to help you expand beyond your old belief systems, step into higher awareness, and reconnect with your true essence. Sometimes they'll push you through uncomfortable growth periods. You might find yourself drawn to new spiritual practices, shifting your perspective, or suddenly questioning things you once accepted without thought. That's the spiritual teacher's influence. They're guiding you towards truth, alignment, and authenticity. This guide helps you navigate awakening energy, the moments when you start remembering who you really are and why you're here. They don't always speak loudly, but when they do come through, it's unmistakable. It feels like clarity washing over you or a knowing that feels ancient and familiar. And unlike some of the more temporary guides, this one tends to stay with you long term. They may step into the background for a while, but they never truly leave. They simply wait. And when you're ready to take the next spiritual leap, they step forward again. Now, the next two type of guides I want to talk about often intertwine with each other, and it can even be the same guide filling both roles. But the first one I'm going to talk about is the wayfinder. This is what I like to call your directional guide, the one who holds the map of your life and all the different paths you could take. The wayfinder knows every possible route, every detour, and every alternate timeline that your soul could potentially walk down. They are the guide who tends to be in contact with you the most because their focus is on helping you navigate choices and decisions in your day to day life. I do want to state that it is possible for the wayfinder and the practical teacher to also be the same energy. But these are the energies, the wayfinder, the ones where you feel when you're at a crossroads, when you're unsure which way to go, or when you're questioning whether to keep walking down a path you've already started. That sudden moment of reassurance, that intuitive yes that floods in when you ask for clarity, that's usually the wayfinder stepping in. You'll feel them strongly when you consciously ask for help in decision making. Their communication can come through intuition, your synchronicities, or that one message that keeps repeating itself from different directions. You know, when we hear the same message 8 times in a day? Yeah, those ones. They guide your steps, but they also honor your free will. They don't choose for you, they illuminate the path so you can choose with clearer awareness. And the last guide is going to be your primary guide, the one who oversees everything. This is the guide who's in charge of your entire spirit team, everybody. They are your main overseer, and it's a soul who's been with you from lifetime to lifetime. This is probably not the first time that they have been in charge of your spirit team. Your primary guide helps you plan your incarnation before you even arrive here. They assist in setting your main goals and helping you choose the rest of your spirit team based on your goals. The teachers, your protectors, your healers, and your helpers who will best support your growth in this lifetime. They are also the one who help you review your life when you pass on. Together, you look back at the experiences, lessons, and choices of this lifetime to understand how they contributed to your soul's evolution. Their focus isn't just this one life, it's the entire arc of your soul's journey. They hold a deep awareness of all the lessons that you've carried through your incarnations, and they make sure each one builds on the last. Because of that, their energy often feels both ancient and familiar, like a guiding presence that's always been there, even before you knew what a spirit guide was. When you are first pulled to spirit guides, your primary guide is probably who you've been feeling more than anything because their energy is so prominent in yours. Okay. Again, this is the one that watches over your entire path, orchestrating, adjusting, and helping you stay aligned with your purpose. Okay. So when we step back and we look at all of the different guides together, you can really see how diverse your spirit guide team truly is. Each guide serves a different role, some practical, some are more protective, some are spiritual, but they all weave together to support you in your soul's plan. And again, not everyone has all of these at once. Your team is fluid, dynamic, and perfectly matched to where you are in your journey. Next, we're going to talk about how to start recognizing and connecting with the guides better. Because once you know who's around you, the next step is learning how to communicate with them. So, one, I will preface you don't need to know names. And at this point, don't need to know what they look like. Don't focus on that. Focus on the messages that you're getting, the signs that you're getting, and the synchronicities. Okay? So, spirit guides always have to honor free will. They will not help you unless you ask. So, step one, you're going to need to start asking. They don't intervene unless you invite them. You can begin with something as simple as saying out loud, "Hey, spirit guides, for my highest good, help me with this, help me with that." That's what they're there for, by the way. And you will realize when you ask them for help in simple or complex things, you're going to get answers, downloads, and other intuitive messages that you might not have ever thought of, but you're not going to get them unless you ask. Okay. And again, you don't have to know who it is. Just set the intention that you're open to connection. Step one was invite them and tell them the intention. So, step two is going to be creating a quiet space for you and them. Guides communicate best when your energy is calm and receptive. So, doing meditation or just simple breath work, journaling, even just sitting in silence with a candle can be your meeting space. Think of it like creating a sacred container where you can feel and sense their energy more clearly, less distractions. And if you're trying to create space for them, it doesn't have to be structured. It doesn't have to be every Monday at 10 p.m. Do it how you feel called, when you feel energy, when you maybe even need guidance. Go sit 5 or 10 minutes. Just 5 or 10 minutes can make a whole world of difference. Third, pay attention to the patterns and the subtle signs. Your guides don't shout. You're not going to hear somebody screaming in your ear, okay? They're going to repeat symbols, songs, numbers, or phrases until you notice. You might hear the same word 10 times a day, dream about the same thing 8 times, or keep seeing a certain animal. Animals are specific. We will get more into animals in the advanced, but the repetition is the message. The fact that it's repeating is the message. I highly recommend keeping a signs and synchronicities journal so you get to start to know maybe you don't know why you're seeing it, but you know that you see it. And then you'll start paying attention where you are when you see it, what you're thinking about when you see it. There are so many messages that we don't get the first few hundred times because we aren't noticing, we aren't available to notice. Speaking of noticing, we're now on number 4, Notice how they communicate with you specifically, not everybody else. We all have different signs and symbols. We all have different signs and symbols that speak to us personally. Each guide also has their own frequency. They speak different. Some might communicate through claircognizance, others might clairsentience or clairaudience. You'll recognize which sense lights up when a certain message comes through. That comes with practice. For example, one of the guides that I have, she always communicates through wind and sound. So, wind chimes, and sometimes I get the howling wind. I know it's her. Her energy is very air based. But then I have another energy that communicates through sensation, bodily sensations. It's more physical. I'll feel a wave of energy move through my entire body and give me like full body shivers. It feels electric, but it's very peaceful at the same time. Those are two different guides, two different purposes. And it's practice of how you get to tell the difference. And remember, your spirit team can include different kinds of beings, not just guides who have incarnated before. I'm going to talk really briefly about archangels. Archangels can be a part of your actual spirit guide team. They can. They're not always assigned to everyone, but they do step in when your soul's mission aligns with their frequency or when their energy can assist you with a specific area of growth. If you do feel drawn to an angelic energy, that is your team inviting you to co work with those frequencies too. Now, whether an archangel is or is not on your spirit guide team or just on the spirit team is irrelevant, okay? You can work with them if you're pulled to work with one. More on the archangels are going to be in the second half. All right, asking for confirmation is number 5. If you're unsure whether a thought or a sign came from your guides, you can always ask for a confirmation. Stay open to all of the signs and synchronicities and pay attention to the world around you if you do that. And you go, hey, I keep seeing 333. And you know what? If it's important for me to see and there's another message to this, show me it again within the next day or so. And put a time limit on that. It could show up as a dream, a conversation, a repeating number, or just calm certainty that settles in your body. So your confirmation could be yes, but you might not see 333. You might just feel at peace. Number 6, build the relationship like a friendship. It's not the guides are over me and I am subservient, okay? Guides love gratitude and consistency. The more you talk to them, the stronger the connection grows, but they're a partner, okay? You can speak to them casually throughout the day, especially your practical teacher or your guardian guide. Ask for their help with the small things. That's what they're there for. If you have just needing comfort, you can ask, okay? It's not about the formality of anything, it's about trust. Number 7, keep a dialogue through journaling or meditation. Automatic writing, channeled writing, so just writing in a journal and just going back and rereading that can be a great way to connect. If you ask a question, you take a few deep breaths and write whatever comes out, when you read it back later, I would say another day or a couple hours, you'll often notice a different calm tone that feels different from your writing. That will be a channeled message from a guide. Number 8, remember that connection grows with time. The more you acknowledge your guides and the more that you trust the process, the clearer the communication becomes. It's like tuning into a radio broadcast frequency. The more you practice, the stronger the signal gets. And even if you're not hearing anything, they're still there working behind the scenes to guide you. Okay? So before we move into the oracle message, I want to wrap this first half up by reminding you of something really important when it comes to your spirit team. You don't need to know how many guides you have, and you don't need to know their names. Every single person has multiple spirit guides and supporters on their team. Their numbers can shift throughout your life. Some will be with you from birth to your last breath, and others will step in for a season or for a specific lesson. What matters most isn't counting them or naming them, it's learning to recognize how they speak to you. All right, welcome to the first oracle section of this podcast. I am going to be pulling two oracle cards. I'm going to be pulling one from the Animal Spirit Oracle and the Archangel Michael Oracle. So let's see. To the person in the collective who's found this, what is important? What do we need to know? All right, we got one animal out. What do we got? We have the snow leopard. Self-reliance. You are strongly independent and often solitary. Integrity is important for your best outcome. Cloak yourself with invisibility and walk with shamans. Use your intuition and let your life unfold in silent perfection. There's a pull for somebody for snow leopards. Those are beautiful. Remember, you are allowed to rely on yourself. All right. Oh, Archangel Michael's got two messages. Focus upon divine and perfect health. It is now time to focus upon your health and supporting your well-being. And lastly, you created this situation and you have the power to change it. Somebody here is going through some growth and you have the power. Now, maybe you need to call in some extra guides, but you have the power, not your friends, not your family. You have the power. Asking the universe, asking your guides to allow you to heal, manifest, and move forward. So if you are somebody who's shifting through old and you're trying to bring in the new, you have the power. The snow leopard, you have self-reliance. You've done this before, okay? You know that you can do it. Don't second guess that. You created this situation. It's like your higher self has said, hey, we're going to create this because we know that we can overcome this life lesson. But self-care is a part of this. So whoever I'm talking to needs to focus on what self-care is. Now, I do have another blog post. It's just a blog post titled Self-Care. In it is a 35-page PDF of things you can do for personal self-care in the 3D physical. It is a phenomenal resource. Go check it out. It's free. All right. And this ends our first oracle section. If you are still here for the ride and you want to go to the advanced section, it's coming up. Stay right here. Don't you move. Welcome back to part 2 with Advanced Spirit Team. All right. Up until now, we've talked about your personal spirit guides, those who walk beside you throughout your life. But your spirit team actually extends far beyond that. There are many different types of beings that can work with us, and each carries its own vibration, purpose, and way of communicating. So sometimes your guides or other beings connected to your team will start sending you signs to get your attention. They might be saying, hey, come work with me, or I'm available to help you with this. You'll feel little nudges or notice recurring patterns. Maybe a symbol that keeps showing up, a song that won't leave your head, or an animal that crosses your path again and again. These are their ways of letting you know they're around, ready to work with you, and that it's safe to open the connection. So now we're going to explore some of the different types of energies or beings that could be reaching out like that and how you can begin to recognize them. First off, we're going to start with the archangels. These are some of the most well-known higher beings that people call on for support and for good reason. When someone begins expanding their connection beyond spirit guides, the archangels are often the first energies they sense. Their frequencies are powerful, loving, and easy to recognize once you've experienced it. In the twin flame journey, for example, Archangel Michael is one that many people feel drawn to. He is associated with truth, protection, and courage, the energy that cuts through fear and helps you stand in your power. Michael's presence is often warm and strong, like a firm but loving hand on your shoulder or a surge of energy that restores confidence. Now, I'm not going to go through every archangel here because that could be its own episode, but I will list some of the main common archangels in the blog, and you can go take a look at it there. When it comes to working with archangels, the process is more about invitation than ritual. You don't have to earn their attention or say a perfect prayer. They respond to sincerity, openness, and intention. To connect, it's simply asking, I invite your presence for this purpose. Now, for example, if you are trying to do abundance, a lot of times people call on Archangel Raphael. There's a lot of different intentions set there. So again, you can go look at the list and see what pulls to you. Be open to the signs. A lot of times, archangels have specific colors that are associated with them. You might get a tingling warmth, a song lyric, or a feeling of peace when you try to call them in. Their energy is unmistakable once you start recognize it. Their energy comes through like above the crown. If you are brand new here, welcome. You can go check out episode number 7 of the podcast, which talks about the third eye and the crown chakra, but archangels come through the crown. Okay, your spirit guides come through the third eye. It's a different energy frequency. So you will get to know where some of this energy is coming from when you practice. Now, I do want to say that it's not a worship thing that you do with the archangels. You are co-creating. So you can also give back in gratitude. Some people light candles, but I want everybody to understand it's the co-creation. You are creating with them. They are almost guiding you. That's why they're on the spirit team in the spirit guide sort of fashion. So now we are going to go into a second group of common spirit team members. You have the animal and the elemental spirits. Now I group them together. I know that animals and elemental are both different in their own respects, but both of them are very to the earth. You will get messages at first through the animal and elemental spirits before you'll start getting them from the archangels because they are closer to the ground. These energies are very earth connected. They work through the natural world around us. You might suddenly be drawn to a certain animal. Maybe you keep seeing owls or hawks or butterflies everywhere you go. Those aren't coincidences. They are signals. Sometimes these appearances come from a loved one trying to get your attention, especially when it's birds or smaller creatures that behave unusually around you. But oftentimes they can also be animal spirit guides, beings that represent lessons, instincts, or medicine that your soul needs to embody. I had a horrible rendition where bees would follow me around and be really close, and I was always paranoid of bees. So they will come to you when there is something to learn about, like bees. It's prosperity, growth, community. There was so much I was learning. Trust it, especially when you keep seeing them over and over and over again. For example, a hawk might call your attention to see the bigger picture. An owl might guide you towards deeper intuition and wisdom. A cat spirit could even help you reclaim independence or just the feeling of mystery. Just like the animal spirits, the elemental spirits, which are the energies connected to the earth, air, fire, and water, can pull you towards the elements that most support your current healing or awakening. You might find yourself irresistibly drawn to the ocean, always grounding through nature, or feeling peace around firelight or storms. Those aren't random preferences, they're energetic invitations. These beings communicate through sensations, nature, synchronicities to let you know you can work with their energy more consciously. Now, very easy with animals. How to work with animal spirits? Well, connect to the animal if you can. If you own birds and you're pulled to birds, well, then talk to the birds. Maybe you're pulled to the ocean, go to the ocean. So find something that will give back energetically or meet in that 3D energy with whatever you're pulled to, whether it be an animal or an element. So if you're pulled to fire, go to a bonfire. Make your own bonfire, light a candle. Okay? That's the way to connect to the animal and the elemental spirits. Now, another group of beings that you can invite into your spirit team are going to be deities. This is one of the more complicated spirit team entities are because the term deity is actually very broad. It can mean gods, goddesses, divine archetypes from different cultures and traditions around the world. There are countless deities from the Greek and Roman pantheons to the Egyptian, to the Norse, Hindu, Celtic, and so many others. And each carries a very distinct frequency, energy, and purpose. Now, when a deity chooses to work with you, it's not random. It's because there's a resonance between your current path and what that being represents. They step forward to teach you something, to awaken part of your soul, or to help you embody a specific quality that your spirit needs in this chapter of your life. It's not about worshiping them. We're going to go back to the archangel part. It's not about hierarchy. It's about co-working with an energy that mirrors what your soul is learning. Some people connect through prayer, some through meditation, and others through symbolic offerings like candles, colors, crystals. A lot of times when a deity wants to connect, you'll start noticing patterns, symbols, colors, animals, or elements that repeat themselves in your life. For example, if you keep seeing owls, emeralds, the color green, or even images of the moon and the bow and arrow, you might be picking up on the energy of Artemis, the Greek goddess of the hunt and of the moon. She's actually quite common. People pull up her a lot. Her energy represents independence, intuition, and divine feminine strength. Sometimes these clues will come before you even know the deity's name. You might be surrounded by their colors, see their animal repeatedly, or even feel their archetype emerging in your personality or creative work. So if you paint, draw, that might actually come out in that. And later, when you finally come across information about that deity, it'll finally click. That's often how they make contact. And it's through the subtle alignments long before your conscious mind actually catches on. How to consciously work with a deity? Well, if you feel drawn to a certain deity, the best way to begin is with openness and respect. Something that you can say if you're trying to ask them to work with you: if your energy is meant to work with mine, please show me clear, loving signs that confirm this connection. Then allow their energy to introduce itself in gentle ways, through dreams, synchronicities, or intuitive knowing. They'll make themselves known when the time is right. And a lot of people do candle offerings or something like in gratitude for being like working together, for co-creating. And just like I did with the archangels, I'll include a few examples of different deities across various traditions in the blog for this episode. But there are so many. There are so many. So if you are pulled to a deity, go research it. Now, before we move higher into the cosmic or galactic energies, I want to ground things for a moment and talk about something deeply sacred, which we started on in the beginning, which is your ancestors. We mentioned earlier that your ancestors and your spirit guides aren't quite the same thing, but they are absolutely part of your greater spirit team. They can be incredibly active, loving, and protective, especially when their wisdom or experiences connect directly to what you're going through in the moment. Ancestral energy carries the memory and the heartbeat of your lineage, not just your bloodline, but also your soul line. Some ancestors are family you knew in this lifetime, and others are generations back or even parallel lines of consciousness that share your purpose. They've lived through the human experience. They know what it means to struggle, to love, to persevere, and that makes their guidance especially relatable as well as comforting. Your ancestors tend to reach out through symbols of memory and emotion. You might feel their presence in dreams, in scents, or in songs that suddenly bring them to mind. Have you ever smelled like an old loved one's perfume or cologne? That's them. It's the subtleties. Also, allowing you to work on your clairs when you do that. But sometimes they speak through family patterns, other synchronicities, or little coincidences that keep circling back to your lineage. You may also feel their energy in the natural world, a bird that behaves in an unusual way, for example, like we talked about before, a gentle breeze when you think of them, a familiar feeling of warmth in your personal space. And those are small ways they remind you we are still here. One thing that's really important to understand about working with your ancestors is their energy ebbs and flows. There will be times where their presence feels incredibly strong, almost like they're right beside you. And that usually means they're stepping in to help you through something specific. Then there will be other times when you hardly feel them at all. And that's okay. It doesn't mean they've left you, it simply means their role is quieter at that moment. Remember, you're not meant to stay connected to them in the same way that you were when they were living in the 3D. They come forward when their presence supports your current growth, and they stand back when it's time for you to walk and integrate what you've learned. It's all part of the rhythm of the divine timing. If you want to consciously connect with them, you don't need an elaborate ritual here. Just intention and acknowledgement. Speak their name with love. Light a candle. Ask them to come. Ask them to help. Ask them to guide. Maybe you want to be specific to a specific one, or maybe you just don't know and you're like, hey, anybody out there? What do I need to know, ancestors? That's enough to open the connection They hear you. And as you heal and grow, that healing energy travels back through your lineage, releasing them too. It's a sacred exchange that benefits everybody at the soul level. All right, now we're going to take a pause, interjection. We're going to shift. Before we go into any high realm in the cosmic and galactic energies, I want to take a pause here and acknowledge something really important. When it comes to connecting with different beings on your spirit team, whether it's an ancestor spirit guide or higher dimensional energies, there are different levels of connection, and each one resonates at a different frequency. If you're trying to connect with a loved one or spirit guide, that's considered a more grounded or closer channel. It's easier for us to perceive because those energies are still tied to the earth plane and our human experience. As long as the grief has been worked through, meaning the emotions of loss have been softened or integrated, it becomes easier to receive messages from them. Your vibration and theirs can meet halfway, so the communication feels natural and accessible. But when you begin reaching toward higher vibrational beings like the archangels, deities, the starseed guides, which we're about to talk about, or other cosmic energies, the connection works different. It requires more intuitive discipline, more energetic alignment, and trust in your own clairabilities. Those intuitive senses like clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, and claircognizance, which I do talk about in episode 7. These higher frequencies aren't harder to reach because they're better. They're just faster. It's a different frequency. It's like learning to tune a radio to a higher station. You have to quiet the interference. You need to strengthen your intuition and hold the vibration steady enough for clear contact. So if you've been trying to connect with a higher being and it hasn't happened right away, it's okay. Your energy is calibrating to a new level of awareness. Allow yourself to keep practicing. This is why the intuitive practices of meditation, grounding, breath work, energy clearing, developing your clairs specifically are so valuable. They train your energy field to stretch upward so that the communication with these higher beings become more natural over time. And to tie this back in to the lower chakra system, the lower frequency, you have to clear those channels to connect it. You can't have jarbled channels. You can, but you're not going to get the message that you're intending to get. Now, before we dive into the starseed and galactic guides, I want to start with a reflection question. Many times people are like, am I a light worker? Am I a starseed? Well, let's give more to that starseed, okay? If you resonate with many of this, you might actually be a starseed energy yourself. So let's see. You've always felt a little different, like Earth has never felt quite like home. You've always been drawn to the stars, to galaxies, or outer space since you were a child. You feel called to help others heal, awaken, or remember who they truly are. You're highly sensitive to energy, emotion, and vibration. You have dreams or flashes of distant, luminous worlds that feel more like memories than actual dreams. You just know deep down that you came here with a mission to anchor light and raise the collective vibration. If many of those resonate with you, there's a good chance that you already carry starseed energy in your own soul being. And that means you likely also have starseed or galactic guides either wanting to work with you or currently working with you right now. Now, starseed and galactic guides are higher dimensional beings connected to specific star systems or planetary collectives, places such as the Pleiades, Sirius, Arcturus, Lyra, Andromeda, Orion, Vega, and Venus. They may not look or feel human, but their presence will always feel familiar, comforting, and filled with light. Their purpose is to help you awaken higher frequencies within yourself and remember your soul's origin. It's not to make you leave Earth or want to leave Earth, but to help you live as your multidimensional self here. This is also where light language often enters the picture. If you've been in this spiritual community long enough, you've heard the term light language or light worker, okay? Light language is the universal frequency through which many of these galactic beings communicate. There's a bunch of different dialects. It's not just one language. It's not spoken through logic. It's felt through energy, tone, and vibration. When you speak, sing, or write light language, it bypasses the thinking mind and speaks directly to the soul. You might feel warmth, tingling, waves of emotion, or a deep remembering. For many star seeds, light language activates naturally once their galactic guides start working closely with them. It's their way of saying, you already know this, let us help you remember. How do galactic guides and starseed guides work with us? Well, their energy is subtle, but it is very, very powerful. Now, pulsing or tingling in your crown, third eye, or even your causal chakra. Causal chakra was one of the bonus chakras on the episode 7. If you have not taken note of the chakra systems and looked at episode 7, where I go into the higher chakras, you're really going to want to understand that, because the higher energy frequency, that's where it aligns. They speak in colors, symbols, geometric shapes during meditation. Sacred geometry is extremely important in this. You have sudden waves of love, light, or peace that seem to come out of nowhere, and a pull towards certain stars, constellations, or even specific tones and frequencies. There are different, you can Google, there are different light language dialects. For me specifically, there are 3 that pull to me specifically. There's a dragon dialect, there is the Arcturian one, and then there's another one in there, the Lyrian. So when you go look at them, some of them you might be like, I already feel like I know that. Like, why does that sound familiar? Okay. So you can go dive into that if you are pulled, but they rarely speak in human words. They transmit energy first. Your intuition translates it into understanding. So this is a guide. Working with the starseed guides, you're not going to get yes or no's in the same, I hear it. The clairaudience aspect of it isn't going to be as profound. Some of the collectives that might reach out to work with you, I will put in the blog. And I will tell you about what they look like, what their intentions are, and maybe you've actually seen some of them before. When you think of the Egyptians, I'm going to give that example because you see like the feline being. Well, there is a starseed that has that feline energy. It's very interesting if you want to see in what cultures they've already incorporated some of this. And for me personally, I work closely with a Venusian guide from Venus. Not the most common, but that's what I was pulled to. But each lineage carries a unique frequency, and the ones that connect with you will resonate with your soul's origin and purpose. Now, again, working with them is easy. Set an intention. I call upon my highest starseed and galactic guides who serve the light. Please assist me in remembering my soul's origin and in embodying my purpose on Earth. Clarity is something that you get from the starseed and galactic. It's not caring about them. We don't need to know all about them. We want them to show a mirror to us so we can understand ourselves better. Meditation is going to be the easiest way, sitting in silence, to hear the messages back. Okay? Again, it's partnership. It's not hierarchy. They're not over you. Energetically, they are at a higher frequency. Okay? They are extensions of your greater soul family and walking with you as you awaken. Now that we've traveled through the stars, we've connected with all the galactic beings, we're going to bring it back to home, to the beings who have walked with humanity since the beginning. We're going to talk about some of the 5D guardians. Specifically in the episode, we're going to talk about dragons and unicorns. These two energies often go hand in hand because they've existed alongside humanity in other dimensions for eons. They're ancient allies. They are keepers of wisdom, balance, and purity. They've worked with us through some of Earth's earliest civilizations, especially Lemuria and Atlantis. So now we're going to take a dive really quick, and we're going to talk a little about the Lemurian Atlantean connection here. Long before the dense physical Earth we know today, Lemuria was a realm of higher vibration, a place where energy, sound, and light were the main forms of communication. The beings there lived in harmony with nature, crystals, and the elements. Lemuria wasn't just a continent, it was a frequency of love, intuition, and unity consciousness. In Lemuria, dragons and unicorns were energetic beings that interacted directly with the Lemurian people. Because Lemurians were highly intuitive and vibrationally aware, they could see these beings and communicated with them freely. The unicorns carried the white gold light of purity, grace, and divine innocence. And the dragons held the elemental and crystalline wisdom of the earth. They balanced the elements of fire, water, air, earth. They helped maintain the energetic grids of the planet. Lemurians worked with both energies for harmony. When Lemuria eventually descended in frequency and much of its energy merged into what we now know as Atlantis, many of these beings continued their work there, though the relationship shifted slightly. In Atlantis, Atlantis became more technologically advanced and mind-focused than Lemuria, but the connection to the elemental and light realms was still strong in its early days. Dragons and unicorns served as energetic partners in the Atlantean temples. Dragons guarded the sacred knowledge, the temple energy grids, and the crystal technology. Their energy stabilized and protected the city's vibration. Unicorns anchored the high frequency light into healing temples, working with the priestesses and healers to purify emotions and balance the mind heart connection. As Atlantis began to fall, as ego and misuse of power took over, these beings gradually withdrew into their higher dimensions. They didn't disappear, they simply shifted their vibration out of the human collective's visible range. That's why so many light workers and healers who are able to raise their vibration can connect and feel these presences. If you felt drawn to dragons, unicorns, or even the energy of Atlantis and Lemuria, that's not random, that's a soul memory. The dragons can help us transmute dense energies and reclaim our power, while the unicorns can help us open our hearts and restore innocence and compassion. Together, they represent the divine balance, strength and purity, masculine, feminine, earth, and sky. So now we're going to go delve in to the world of dragons. When most people think of dragons, they imagine fiery mythological creatures from stories. But the truth is, dragons are incredibly high frequency beings of pure light and wisdom. They've been here since the beginning of time, and they continue to work alongside humanity as protectors, teachers, and stabilizers of divine energy. Dragons do not just clear low realm energy. They are multidimensional, intelligent, high vibrational guardians who operate through the sacred realms, through the crystalline grids and cosmic architecture of the universe. They hold the original creation codes, frequencies that help us align light and matter. When they move through your field, they don't just clear energy, they restructure it, bringing coherence and divine order. Their energy is potent and ancient. It carries strength, courage, truth, and grounded spiritual power. For many people, dragon energy activates the solar plexus, the heart, and the root chakras simultaneously, awakening sovereignty and confidence rooted in love. It is also important to understand that while dragons are incredibly high frequency beings, they are not subordinate to any other realm. They simply, like everyone else at this point, they collaborate with beings of similar light. For example, some archangels work very closely with dragons. Each archangel has a unique vibration and mission, so only certain ones resonate with dragon frequency. Archangel Michael, for example, works with the blue flame dragons, and it helps in the protection of truth and shielding divine energy. And I will add in the blog a couple more archangels that work with dragons, but there is an amazing dragon book by Diana Cooper called Dragons, Your Celestial Guardians, that dives deep into different kinds of dragons. I'm not going to go into the different kinds on here, but there are so many. And if you are looking to work more with them, check out that book. I'll put the information of that also in the blog. Now, how do you communicate? Well, each dragon has a different vibration and often appears as a specific color or an element that reflects its purpose. You might sense a dragon before you ever see one. Their presence can feel like heat, vibration, or a wave of pressure through your energy field. They often show up in meditation as luminous forms, geometric shapes, or streaks of color. Sometimes you feel them circling your aura or resting beside you, not as a being to command, but as a guardian walking in parallel. If you start noticing repeated dragon imagery, feeling drawn to dragon crystals, or even seeing them in your dreams, then usually it's their way of letting you know we're here and we're ready to work with you. They also have their own light language dialect. It sounds different than any other light language. If you feel pulled to dragons, you can also do some research on dragon light language. If you want to consciously connect with dragons, the key is respect and purity of intention. They respond to truth, courage, and spiritual maturity. Allow their energy to flow through you. You may feel a grounding warmth, a surge of confidence, or even emotional release as they clear stagnation and ignite your inner flame. Dragons do not work through ego or fear, they work through honor and alignment. When you invite them in, you're inviting the restoration of divine order within yourself. Now we're going to shift from the strength and the fire and the dragons into the gentle healing light of the unicorns. Unicorns carry a very different frequency. Where dragons embody power, courage, transformation, unicorns represent purity, love, divine grace. Their energy is heart-centered, serene, and it is deeply healing. Unicorn energy feels very pure, soft, yet incredibly potent. When they're near, you may feel tingling around your crown chakra and your heart, as if being showered in white or rainbow light. Now, if you were here for the bonus section of episode 7, I added the causal chakra. The causal chakra is where unicorn energy does emit. It's right above the back of the head. You see prisms like the opalescence. If you resonate with that, you could have unicorn energy trying to communicate. Some people actually see sparkles or feel extra waves of unconditional love move through them. Unicorns work closely with Archangel Christiel and Archangel Mariel and often assist light workers who are healing emotional wounds, awaken divine feminine energy, or stepping into service with an open heart. Whereas dragons ignite power, unicorns restore innocence. They cleanse the emotional body and open the higher heart, that space of unity, forgiveness, and soul compassion. Again, if you want to learn more about the higher heart, that is also in my chakra system episodes. Unicorns communicate through light, feeling, and symbolism. You might see rainbows, feathers, glowing orbs where their energy is near, and sometimes you'll feel a sudden burst of peace or joy for no reason. That's their frequency moving through. They also love beauty, creativity, and music. You might feel them around when you're creating something with pure intention, such as art, songs, poetry, or something in your sacred space. To invite unicorn energy in your field, set an intention. Again, you're going out of purity and light. Ask. You ask. Now, if you are intrigued and you want to learn more about unicorns, The Magic of Unicorns by Diana Cooper is a wonderful companion to this. It's going to open that world and have you understand all the different types of unicorn energy and how you can be pulled and get clarity. Most of the higher energetic frequency beings are there to allow you to see your soul growth and the purpose and to grow in this earthly timeline. Now that we've explored the dragons and the unicorns, I want to take a quick moment to mention a few other high dimensional beings that you may encounter. There are so many energies that exist beyond what we covered today. Some are more common, some not as common, but all just as valid and beautiful. In the blog post, I will include an extended list of these beings. If you feel drawn to them, that's your sign to dig deeper and explore their energy for yourself. A few of the ones I'll be mentioning are mermaids and mer beings, the fae and fairies, the elven and the elves, phoenix energy, Pegasus and winged beings. There are so many others, far more than we could fit in a single episode, but I'll have the list of more common ones waiting for you on the blog if you feel called to explore any of those further. Now, to close out our spirit team and the beings that walk beside us, we now need to talk about the Ascended Masters. These are some of the most powerful and misunderstood members of the higher realms. In popular culture, they've been turned into myth, legend, or fantasy. Names like Merlin, Jesus, Kuan Yin, Saint Germain, or Mother Mary. But in truth, the Ascended Masters are real, evolved souls who once walked the earth and achieved a level of spiritual mastery that allowed them to transcend the physical incarnation. They continue to work with humanity, offering guidance, activation, and wisdom through higher planes of light. Ascended Masters are souls who have completed many lifetimes of growth and service, mastering both the human experience and the spiritual one. They are teachers, healers, and initiators. Each one holds a specific ray of light, a divine frequency that they use to assist others on the path of awakening. A few examples you might know: Merlin, the alchemist and magician, keeper of transformation, divine wisdom, and elemental balance. Kuan Yin, embodiment of compassion and mercy, teaches emotional healing and unconditional love. Saint Germain, guardian of the violet flame, assists with transmutation, manifestation, and freedom. I will include a little bit more of a list in the blog as well. The ascended masters don't interfere with free will. They respond to an invitation and readiness. If you feel ready or called to work with an ascended master, invite them in. Their energy often feels radiant, serene, and timeless, like standing in sunlight that doesn't burn. When they're near, you may feel waves of peace, soft pressure at your crown, or a quiet inner voice that feels both gentle and absolute. Ascended masters can feel like spirit guides. They come through the same type of channel. When they're near, you can connect simply by calling them in through meditation or prayer, always inviting those who serve the light in your highest path. They will often collaborate with archangels, dragons, star beings, depending on the vibration of your soul work. Each ascended master has students across lifetimes. So if a name keeps showing up for you, pay attention. That's often a sign of a pre-existing connection. As we close this journey together, I want to remind you, your ability to connect with your guides depends less on how and more on energetic alignment. When your frequency rises through rest, love, meditation, or healing, your energy begins to match theirs. That's when you start to see, feel, or sense them more clearly. You may notice flashes of light, color, or form. That's your clairvoyance activating. You might meet them in dreams where the conscious mind steps aside and the heart leads the way. And if you ever question whether you're imagining it, remember, your imagination is often the language of spirit. What feels like pretend is often the very doorway to truth. And this is going to be our second oracle reading of the podcast. I have the Dragon Riders Oracle and Beyond Lemuria. So we're going to start with the Dragon Riders Oracle. There is a dragon and its rider, so there will be a dual message with that. So let's see. All right, Divine, what message for the collective who's hearing this? Oh, we already got it. Okay. All right. We have Saga and Shelia Shathgan. Drink from the holy water of wisdom, and from now on, follow the way of self-awareness. Be like water. Flow freely and unhindered along your life path. Now, I am going to, this book is actually quite useful, gives you a lot of background on the people. Saga, we're going to talk about Saga really quick. It's number 31. Saga is the Germanic goddess of writing, poetry, and water, and the guardian of all healing springs. She belongs to the Aesir race of gods and is a quiet and discreet goddess, and therefore not so well known. She also represents peace, since she would never wield a weapon. The wise men and women who have studied the healing power of holy springs are in close contact with Saga, and she entrusts them with her secrets. Saga possesses 2 golden chalices from which the water of wisdom may be drunk. This water never recedes because wisdom cannot perish. Indeed, quite the opposite is true. Wisdom arises from wisdom. The message from Saga. Water is the cradle of all of life. Its flow cannot be stopped, and it will always find a path. Those who believe they can contain and tame water are mistaken, as it can merge with fire or air in order to flow freely. If water is enclosed in a dish, it will call upon the power of the sun and evaporate, to fall freely as rain. If it is trapped in a bottle, it will call upon the power of cold air and freeze, to swell and break the glass. Water is timeless and unhurried. It is unique and unlike anything else known to humanity. Hydrogen, the main component of water, is the oldest chemical element in this universe. The primordial knowledge that resonates within it is transmitted to water. Listen carefully to what I'm about to tell you. You are water. So live like water. Be free. Saga is connected with the female dragon, Sheila Shathgan, whose name means the view in the mirror. is a blue, beautiful dragon, and the lady is dressed in blue. This card will be put in the blog. We come to you bearing the two holy chalices of wisdom. You may drink the water within, but be aware that wisdom can be achieved only through self-knowledge. Be ready to look in the mirror that I am. Know yourself and then surrender to the flow of life. Stop trying to live the life of others. Be like water. Find your way and flow through all unpleasant situations. You will only become involved with them if you allow yourself to become caught up in them and sacrifice your freedom. A beautiful card. All right, now we're going to go to the Beyond Lemuria. Not as a common deck, but I figured Lemuria was a good pull, so here we go. All right. What is the collective? Trust your innocence. Okay, so I was going to grab the unicorn cards, and it still comes out. Trust your innocence. The unicorn energy is already coming out in this. It's number 54. Trust your innocence. Let's see. See if the book has anything. I think that's the last one in the book, to be honest with you. It can be hard to decipher between intuition and what our mind is telling us. Stories, projections, expectations, or fear can arise under the guise of intuition. To distinguish truth, inner guidance from paranoia, we must return to innocence, to our purest essence. Here we have access to the truth of our being. What were the very first feelings or visions you had when you considered the question at hand, before you second-guessed yourself? How does it feel in your body when you are brutally honest with yourself? Try to go beyond the layers of what you have been taught to believe about yourself. When some of the logic falls away, what answers remain? When you ask a young child a question, they don't censor their answers. Their honesty may not be considered polite or socialized. It may even seem a bit funny, but it's their truth. And it's interesting to note how intuitive children naturally are. To tell the difference between intuition and mind chatter, you need to recognize a clear instinctive yes and instinctive no. For this, you must trust yourself. The foundation of self-trust is honesty. You must be completely honest with yourself about what feels good, true, and real to you, and what does not. Honesty is more than not lying to yourself. It is also about not withholding information. It's about having deep transparency within yourself. Some might describe their intuitive yes as a softening rather than a feeling of tightening, contracting, or avoidance. If we are to stay on our optimal path, trusting our original innocence or instincts is key. And this ties in. Learning to get a yes and a no from your spirit guides is doable. And it can enhance the ability to show you what is aligned with you. And when you get that gut feeling something is or isn't aligned with you, you're able to hear it and listen to it. You are the connection point between the seen and the unseen worlds, between the earth and the divine. Every time you listen to your intuition, every time you meditate or open your heart to love, you strengthen that bridge. Your spirit team will always meet you at the level your frequency allows. And the more you trust what you sense, the stronger that connection becomes. So pay attention to your dreams, your subtle visions, to your energy shifts, because that's where this guidance lives. Take a moment to thank your team, your ancestors, your guides, the angels, and the other people that support you energetically. All of those who have walked with you through this episode and through your journey. You are guided, you are supported, and you are never, ever alone. I want to thank you for being a part of this episode. If you enjoyed this podcast, remember to subscribe and forward it to your friends. If you're ready to go deeper inside your own spiritual journey, or to strengthen your intuition, connect with your guides, or move through healing on a soul level, feel free to check out my spiritual coaching sessions on my main website at michelleshealinghaven.com. While you're there, do not forget to check out the blog for this episode. Lots of resources there. You're going to get a lot of the lists for the archangels, for the deities, and for the dragons. You'll also have links to the books I suggested as well. And if you'd like to stay in touch, you can sign up for my newsletter. It currently goes out monthly, and it's filled with spiritual insights, intuitive tools, and updates on what's unfolding here at Michelle's Healing Haven. Thank you for being here, for listening, and for opening your heart to this conversation. Every time you show up for your own healing, you ripple that light out into the world. And that's what this journey is truly about. So until next time, love, light, and positive vibes.